So, welcome to this week's episode of the podcast. I've just come back from the Ritz Cinema with my mate Joe. Joe, say hello.
Hello.
We've just watched Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Rise of Skywalker.
I was going to say The Last Skywalker, but
The Last Skywalker.
yeah,
Oh well.
kind of shows how I wasn't really exposed too much to the advertising and marketing for this one because I can't even think of the title.
No, because we were actually saying before this how we were trying to avoid spoilers or anything, but there wasn't really too much to avoid. Like I didn't see too many ads or anywhere.
Yeah, no, not too much. I think we probably are actively avoiding a
Yeah,
bit too.
yeah.
If we're really out there on the internet looking for it,
Yeah.
we'd see a lot more. Talking of spoilers, you're obviously like we're going to be talking about spoilers in this chat.
Look, we'll try and keep it spoiler free as much as we can.
All right, maybe the first half, like
Yeah.
just chat, and then at some point maybe just say, hey, we've had enough of this. We'll get into some spoilers.
Yeah. So how about this? We'll do the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
We'll do spoiler free.
Yeah.
Just give initial thoughts on sort of how we feel about the movie. So as I said, we've just got back to Joe's place after seeing it at the Ritz. Joe, what's your initial thoughts on the movie?
It's good. Yeah, it's a good film. Walked out of it on a semi-high, which was pretty impressive because
Mm-hmm.
I was not too excited going into it. Normally you got a bit of
Yeah.
goosebumps and, really looking forward to it. And to come out with anything other than a disappointment is a really good experience. So, I liked it. Yourself?
Yeah. I think I'm the same as you. I went in with very low expectations thanks to the previous movie. And, I feel as though watching that movie, I was brought back into the Star Wars universe. Obviously, if you think back, the prequels, episode 1, 2, and 3, sort of, for me, did a little bit of damage in terms of my fandom for Star Wars. Force Awakens came along and sort of brought me back. And then, The Last Jedi was The Last Jedi and did the damage that it did. And, but I remember you and I seeing The Last Jedi together. And I remember after seeing that movie, we looked at each other and we were like, what did we just watch?
Yeah, it was a slow car chase movie. Over 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Funny you mentioned the prequels were tarnishing it for you slightly. I was thinking before watching this film, while we were watching the trailers, sitting down before the movie, how at this stage the prequels might be holding up better than these newer movies.
Yeah.
Based on the last movie and depending what they did with this film here. And I was like thinking that's funny because prequels got mocked so much.
Yeah.
But they were maybe even better than this series.
Yeah.
But the third one I think has rescued it.
Yeah,
whole
definitely.
heap.
Yeah.
They did a really good job. I was just going to say, you said bringing you into the Star Wars world, bringing you into some old stuff, but then also new characters and new things that were very much Star Wars, but things we hadn't seen before as well.
Yeah.
Where normally that's kind of lame because sometimes they're stretching to do some new creature that doesn't work. Like that fox, that crystal fox that came in the last Star Wars.
Yeah.
I think you guys know what we're talking about maybe. But this new one had some cool characters. There was one character that kind of stole the show. I think kind of like a secret hero, and that's C-3PO.
Oh.
Yeah, very much so. He was heroic. He was funny. Had a couple of lines that missed, but I think that's part of his character as well. That he's not always going to hit these funny cues. He sometimes says some stuff that's not funny. So that was quite good. I was laughing ages after some of his jokes, but I was trying not to laugh really out loud because it wasn't really the vibe in the cinema. People weren't really.
Yeah,
interacting.
It's funny you mentioned the vibe of the cinema. I actually felt as though I would have maybe enjoyed. Like, I'm not saying the movie was bad. Like, I actually quite enjoyed it, but I would have felt as though I may have actually enjoyed it more had we have been in like a full cinema. Sort of like when we went to when we first saw the Force Awakens at that midnight screening.
Yeah, that's right. The midnight screening, the cinema at the Ritz did a good job hyping up a bit with dress up costumes all the fans are there, and every time a new character comes out, I shouldn't say new character, one of the characters we've seen before comes out, everyone claps and cheers. But it's funny because sometimes that can give me a little bit of cringe too.
Yeah, it can be. Yes.
So it's funny. But this time there was no atmosphere in the cinema at all.
Yeah.
One thing funny happened though, actually, when you went to the bathroom during the credits. It was pretty quiet in the cinema, and then this guy walked in, and his phone was going full blast with the Star Wars theme song.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we all know it. And his wife had called him while he was walking in.
Yeah.
But for me, it's very obvious that he timed it for her to call him while he's walking down the aisle, and then it's like saying to everyone, "Oh, sorry guys."
Yeah.
It's cool. He did it for a bit of fun, but that did make me crack up. Other than that, what reactions did the crowds do without spoilers? I feel there's a few laughs there.
Yeah, I think it was mainly laughs.
There was
the main.
There was a big moment at the end, which is not a big. Oh yeah, we won't get into there, but there was something that happened that quite a few people reacted, and I think it was kind of in a negative way. Like you and we went to each other and said that was kind of ridiculous what happened.
Yeah. I think I know what you're talking about.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Anyway.
But I feel so the movie did, and this is what we were talking about before, and this is maybe a negative you could say for this movie is that early on I feel as though it had to do a lot of repairing of what happened in the last movie. Would you agree with me on that?
Yeah, I think so. I think the last movie, they tried something new. This one was a lot more a safer option as well. So it wasn't very risky. They knew how to get me in with the music and the fighting and some great lightsaber battles.
Yes,
some of the
better. Yeah.
The way they were acting with them, so not just the choreography, I can't say that word. Yeah. But the way the emotions were and the exhaustion with the fights. Kylo Ren, I could even say he overacting because his acting's maybe even better than what a Star Wars movie requires. He's top guy. Was very impressive. But yeah, you're
right. The acting was like, it just was a lot better. I felt, and you know what? Another thing I felt there wasn't too much that was forced on us.
No, because even with like what do they say, fan service? Yeah. There's a little bit of that with No, we're going to care too much about some little spoilers, like there were some Ewoks in it and things like this. But without it being too in your face and too just, I don't know. What did you say? What did you say?
Yeah, like there wasn't anything forced. So like you're right talking about that stuff. But I was sort of one thing that a lot of people complained about the last movie was I guess you would say some of the political undertones that were with the movie. I felt as though they went away from that stuff and just focused on sort of the Star Wars universe, and this is the Star Wars universe, you know?
Yeah, that's fair. There was they went in another direction with the Force as well. Last movie, there was some new things we saw with the Force, and they took it even a step further this time.
Yeah, no, they did. As I said, like the last movie, this movie does a lot of sort of tying off. What am I trying to say? So it's almost like this is the movie. I was saying this to you after we left the cinema. I felt as though the first half of this movie is the movie we sort of needed after The Force Awakens. Yeah. And so it just felt a bit, I don't know, I'm not saying off, but it just felt like there was a lot of stuff that happened in the first half of the movie that should have been done in the second movie, but instead it was forced into the third movie, meaning for me, I felt as though maybe some bits did drag on a little bit more than what they should have.
Yeah. I think they listened to the fans or heard the reactions from the second one, and they quickly repaired some of that stuff. There was two things in the second movie that left a lot of people disappointed because they built it up a little bit. That was like the backstory about Snoke.
Yeah.
Sorry. Actually, that leads me to another point. But yeah, the backstory about him and how he just died halfway through the film. Yeah. But I feel like they kind of answered some stuff about him in this movie that I thought was cool. And then the second thing was the background of Ren. Ray. Sorry. Ray as well. Like we went back into her past as well. which at first I thought, oh, this is going to drag on again because
Yeah,
I kind of
because
hate flashbacks.
yeah,
And I hate
yeah.
we've had a bunch of that in the last one, but no, they address these two things. So I hate getting Star Wars info wrong because Star Wars fans are
Yeah.
not very forgiving.
Also, too, it was quite good to get a bit of Poe's backstory, a little bit into who he is as well, which is something else that I feel as though we needed in the second movie.
Yeah, that was fine because there's so many side characters in this with. I'm not going to start with names again, but yeah, there's so many side ones that you kind of they get a little bit diluted, and to actually get a little bit more substance behind it is good. He was quite likable in this movie.
Yeah.
I liked him a lot. There were some aspects of this movie which remind me of other films, so I don't know if they did that deliberately to kind of make it a bit more liked by more people, but I felt some very some Star Wars, some Lord of the Rings vibes in there.
Yeah.
And also even Harry Potter with Voldemort and you know. So I saw other parts of movies in this movie, but not in a bad way at all. It was pretty good. Talking about bad way, anything negative about the film? What's
negative?
your thoughts?
I said the only negative I could think of is that I would have liked a lot of this movie to have been in the second movie, and then because I do feel as though the sort of second half of the movie is a bit more like it is a little bit rushed in what they sort of had to do.
It's funny. I actually thought the first half was very rushed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that they kept on skipping between scenes and planets and going from here to there, almost like this quick montage at the beginning to get to.
I like
the plot.
That. It was just, and that's part of the whole. What I feel as though the whole sort of repairing what happened. Because I felt as though J.J. Abrams directed this, and I felt as though he did the same in The Force Awakens, where he sort of was like trying to repair some of the damage that the prequels did to the franchise. Yeah,
it's just I think I've always thought with these new movies, the biggest thing going against them is that they spread them out too long. I wish we just had them year after year after year within 3 years, but then to have Rogue One and Solo and everything in between, it meant if you had a disappointing second film, that would have been forgiving if it was just the next year we had this film. But we had to wait. For it.
Which is maybe why it's not as big as what it probably should be.
You talking about box office, or what are you talking about?
But even like just buzz around the movie, I just don't feel as though the buzz was there. Now, whether or not that's because the second movie sort of did what it did and sort of turned a few people off and probably deflated the tires a little bit on the whole Star Wars juggernaut. But
I've heard more about Baby Yoda in the last 3 or 4 weeks than this movie.
Yes, in fact, no, that's not a bad point. Like The Mandalorian seems to be something that I was hearing a lot more of, obviously because it's a television series on Disney Plus. But yeah, hardly anything about.
I'd like to see how this movie's box office compares to how much money they pull in for Mandalorian. How many views they're getting. Maybe not box office, but just views as well.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll be able to... Like, that views is going to be hard to ascertain because Disney Plus is going to be like... A lot of people will be getting that free month, you know what I mean? So there's not going to be many paying subscribers, you know? So that's how a lot of their... Just like Netflix, you know, like... It's all based on subscriptions, you know.
Yeah, but the stats of numbers of times it's been viewed would be easy enough for them to work out. Just like a YouTube video, they know when it's been played.
Can they do that?
Yeah.
Like, do they do it with Netflix?
Yeah, I don't know if they disclose them, but they definitely would know the stats of how many people have been watching.
Guess how many?
The episodes, how many times they've seen it repeat times. So it's all there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just me assuming so, but like these guys would record that.
I mean, they got the technology there, I guess. So.
Yeah.
So just finishing up just on initial thoughts, Joe, someone comes up to you and says, hey, Star Wars, the newest one, what do you think?
On par with the first one, which was really good.
Yeah.
So a good film.
Yeah.
Redeemed itself.
Yes.
And worth watching. You know, it's loud and big in the cinema with the sounds of the starships and the music. So definitely go see it at the cinema.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yourself?
Yeah, I'd be the same. I'd say pleasantly surprised, and that was partly due to going in with a low expectation, but definitely enjoyable. Definitely felt like Star Wars.
Yeah. There's one thing at the end. I think they did a great job, and then they tarnished it with one little thing. So after you've seen it, maybe just see if you agree. If you think of what I'm talking about, because that maybe left a slightly bad taste in my mouth. Otherwise, it would have been like quite a solid film. Yeah, it's one little silly bit, but the silly bits were kind of fun to maybe bag out as well. All right.
Okay, so that ends it on the non-spoiler, spoilery part. So I guess Joe and I are just going to go into spoiler territory. So you have been warned. If you haven't seen this movie and you're listening to this, it's not our fault. You've been warned. So, Joe?
Yes. Let's go. So what were the biggest, I guess, reveals here? There was two major ones, I'd say.
I'd say the beginning, talking about Rey and who she was, because a lot of people felt very flat after the second movie, because all of a sudden we're supposed to, after the Force Awakens, we're like, oh, who is she? Like this anticipation. But then all of a sudden she's a nobody, you know, and all us fans are like, what? She's just a nobody? And then all of a sudden, early on in the beginning, we get told that, you know, she is more like, in the early stages, she is more than a nobody.
Yeah, I was really surprised about that, because they, like you're saying, they said she was a nobody in the second one, which I was disappointed about, but also accepted, because I thought, oh, okay, that's their point, that you're trying to say that anyone can be the hero. Yeah. You don't have to be born into privilege or something like this. And so I thought, okay, that's their message. And I didn't know they're going to go expand on it again, which was which was cool, really good. So I was still kind of curious, didn't really know where it was going until until when she was using the Force on the spaceship. It gave a few hints. She used the electric.
Yes.
Palpatine,
Oh, we can talk about that anyway, because this is spoilery.
The spoiler part. Yeah. We can go.
So Rey is, you actually find out early in the movie, because it's no surprise that Palpatine is in the movie, because you hear him in the trailer. But Kylo Ren goes to him and basically gives him everything that he needs in order to overthrow the Resistance and I guess rule over the galaxy. And then they sort of talk about Rey not being more than nobody, and then it's then revealed later on into the movie that she is actually the granddaughter of Palpatine.
Yeah, exactly.
Which you know, was like, oh wow, like that was quite a good moment, you know.
Yeah, that's good. And she was kind of an interesting character at that point, because she had all this bad blood and history in her, but then she's brought up by the light, you know, Princess Leia's trained her and everything. Yeah. So she's kind of adds a lot of development to her character.
Yeah. And you're right, and you can tell that because she in sort of the early stages of the movie, she does show the dark side in her character with sort of what she's doing and what she's saying.
Yeah. And then, so the other thing was that Palpatine was in it. Yeah. Even though we knew in the trailer. But the big thing was that he was controlling
Snoke
in the second one. So he was like a puppet to him.
Yeah.
And at one point we even see other
in
a container, like he's like just genetically modified and bred as like a puppet.
So what it is in the beginning, this is what J.J. Abrams did really well, is that a lot of people talked about Kylo Ren in the last movie turning into just some whingy character with daddy and with parent problems, right? But they really did a good job of sort of re-establishing him as this bad guy. You know, you see him like cutting people, stabbing people, and just being really evil. And he's trying to get this this compass which leads him to wherever Palpatine is. And so he goes to this place, and that's where Palpatine is, and that's where you see this warped, twisted, whatever has been happening, and all of a sudden, he's still got all these followers as well, and it's like, oh, okay,
Yeah, that's right. Which were referred to as like a cult by the other resistance. The order, sorry.
Yeah, the first order.
First order. So that was cool. Lots of cool parts in it. Then Princess Leia, she kind of interrupts a big lightsaber battle.
Yes.
And she dies.
Yeah.
Which I guess is not that big a scene because the actress has passed away too, so we know that the character's going to die at some point, and there's no big sadness with any of the older characters dying for me, really. Yeah. But anyway, I thought it was important for the story because then Kylo Ren was, at that point, it was a turning point for him because how I see it is that he was no longer ashamed to go face his mum anymore after killing his dad, and he turned around from that point, which I thought was pretty cool, and that's where he started. Fighting for the cause.
Yeah, so that's what I really like a lot of his. I love his character in this movie more than than the previous two. That's for sure. And some of the cool things that were going on between him and Rey, like some of the I guess Force conversations you can say that they were having, and then the Force fights that they were having, where it was where Rey was and where Kylo Ren was. Just some of that interaction was really, really cool. I thought they did a really good job with that.
They did, but then they always do some weird things that bring you back to reality that it's not a perfectly written movie.
Yeah.
Like they're fighting each other, but they're in different locations.
Yeah.
And Kylo Ren's trying to work out where she is.
Yeah.
Yet she knows where he is perfectly.
Yeah.
At certain times, he knows exactly where she is, and other times doesn't to fit the story.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to explain if you haven't seen the movie, but there are little things that bug me with that.
Yeah, but I mean, those little things you sort of just if the movie was terrible, you could really look at those bits and be like, oh, what about this? What about that? But I don't feel as though they were too bad that you'd.
No, they weren't too bad. I looked out for them because I enjoyed finding things to make fun of.
Yeah.
I like to think of what the meme's going to be the next day of certain things. So that's just my mind now. If you're just watching and enjoying it, those things aren't major at all.
Yeah.
The one major thing though is at the end of the film. So I'm assuming you've seen the movie now.
Yeah.
When basically Kylo Ren saves. Rey
saves Rey
because Rey, for some reason, kind of dies because
Rey uses all her
energy.
Her Force presence, whatever.
These Jedi's need to learn how to hold back a little bit. Luke and Leia both did that. Exerted themselves. But anyway, and then she comes out of death, and it's quite a cool scene, I thought. And then she kisses him, which or they kiss each other, which is really weird because I didn't pick up on any romance throughout the whole series.
And even though it was just a brief kiss, because once again, this is spoilers, so if you're listening to this and you haven't seen the movie, shame on you if this gets spoiled. But, it's a brief kiss because Ben does pass away. But, when they do kiss, it's almost like, hey, we're finally together, and it's just hold on, I don't even think that was the relationship that.
Yeah, I thought there was going to be a reveal that the brother and sister. It's a theme with Star Wars with Luke and Leia. But I thought, I did not see that.
Yeah,
and it was not good. It took away from a pretty cool moment for me.
Yeah, it did, didn't it?
I heard other people in the cinema murmuring at that point. I think there's a lot of people looking at each other like, what was that about?
Yeah, it was a bit confusing. And even though Ben does just fall over. He dies straight.
Why did he die then? Did he die because he used all his power to save her?
Yeah.
Now that I say it out loud, it's...
Yeah, that's a bit silly. So I was... Because when he did that, I thought, oh, cool, they're going to both be alive,
Yeah.
But then he dies, I was like, okay, so... But whether or not that's what he felt like... Because maybe he feels bad for the atrocities that he's done.
Yeah, but then he could do a lot of good and bring it back. I don't know. I think it'll be good if they roll together or saw a bit more of him as a good guy.
Yeah. And that was part of his character, was that he did basically turn at the end, which was pretty cool. Oh, one thing I was a bit like disappointed at was, and this is once again why I'm peed off at the second movie, is that we see the Knights of Ren, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like throughout the movie, we're thinking, oh, look at these guys, they look pretty hectic, right?
Yeah.
And then we just then see them at the end fighting Kylo, and you don't really see much of them fighting, and it's like, oh, okay, so they're built up to be these badasses,
yeah,
and we only see like a little bit of them.
Yeah, we could have had a bit more of them causing havoc.
Yeah, or like just, but then who would you have had them fighting? Just unknowns.
Maybe, yeah. And there was a few other things with the plot, and like this happens with every movie as well.
Yeah.
So they were doing a lot of effort to try to find out the secret location. So the good guys were trying to find a secret location to try to defeat them.
Yeah.
But then Palpatine wanted them to come there anyway to destroy him. So it's not like he was hiding.
Yeah,
he wants to come there. That was the whole plan.
Yeah.
So like a whole part of the plot of the movie is not needed.
But then also, like, I think about all the ships that he's got there. They've all got like planet killers on them, and like I'm thinking to myself, what are you waiting for? Like, is this like?
There's a few things like that. It's straight out of like Austin Powers at one point where they had to kill 3 of the prisoners. It's like, hey, kill these 3. It's like, should we do it right now? No, take them out of sight. I don't want to see it happen.
Yeah.
Take them away. Kill them when I'm not here.
Yeah.
With only one guard? Yeah, just one guard.
Yeah.
You know, there's a few things like that.
Yeah, there are a few. Once again, you know, like we just joke about some of the like little nitpicky stuff, but it didn't take away from the overall experience.
No, and I always forget that, like, I'm 36 and it's like a family film too, where there's going to be 10-year-olds watching it, and you need to have some kind of obvious plot and formula.
One thing I thought they did quite well was they kept Rose out of the movie.
I think they did that quite obviously, right?
Yeah. And I think I said to you in the movie, like, they gave her the Jar Jar Binks, like, Jar Jar Binks was in episode 1.
Tap on the shoulder.
And then it was like, only really briefly see him in episode 2.
Yeah.
And although Rose got a little bit more screen time then.
And she had little attention from Finn.
Yeah, it's almost as if Finn was then moving on to someone else.
Yeah.
Well,
they kind of wasted the time. He was always kind of alluding that he liked Rey.
Oh, what was he going to tell her?
That he loved her?
Yeah, but then there wasn't... Oh.
And then we didn't go back to it at all.
No.
It's weird.
No. And I mentioned the non-spoiler, you know, like, it was good to get a bit of Poe backstory about who he was. And, you know, I think Poe's like, he could be like the new Han Solo, like for the universe moving forward for Star Wars.
Yeah. No, I think it's going to sound weird to say that, but the camera really likes him. Like,
yeah.
He's a lead actor and a real star. The character is a hero. He's likable.
Yeah. And he does have Han Solo-y type traits about him in the movie too. Like he knows how to shoot. Obviously, he knows how to fly the Falcon.
Yep.
I think they can definitely because I don't know what I've not read anything about plans that they may have, you know, moving forward from here. But no doubt they're going to be making more Star Wars movies.
Yeah, like if they did another film, I'll be quite happy to know no longer Luke, Leia, Han Solo in it, and feel pretty comfortable with the current younger cast.
Yeah.
Doing their own movie.
Yeah.
They've established themselves enough that they don't need all these throwbacks anymore.
I felt you can keep Lando in there. He was pretty like I had no problem. You know, like Force Awakens. You could just tell that the actors were old, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, geez. But Lando was quite...
No, yeah, he was fit enough. And I guess even if you're old, if you're a good pilot, you can still be useful.
And
contribute.
Yeah.
But I was trying to think, how much did he actually contribute in the original Star Wars and in this film?
Right? No,
he
not
started
much.
talking about how him and the old gang were
and
fighting
I'm
together.
like, okay.
Didn't you like betray them at one point
Yeah,
in Cloud City?
yeah.
And then you helped them escape after you captured them. I think he came back at one point.
In Return of the Jedi, he was in there helping them out. So, no, but like I quite liked his character there. He didn't look out of place either. He sort of actually, the other actors, the older actors like Han Solo, Princess Leia, and Luke Skywalker, it was like, oh man, they're old. But I saw Lando, I was like, oh cool, man. Like he's still got it, I guess.
Yeah. They use ghost actors quite a bit in this too. Like they brought Luke Skywalker back as well. It kind of annoys me because they pick and choose when they can use those ghost guys.
Yeah,
Why doesn't Luke just come back when it's time to fight someone?
Yeah,
That should be useful instead of just for some little motivational speak.
Yeah, it is really like frustrating. But like, I think we watch movies differently to a lot of people. But it's just the inconsistencies of the Force and like when, like, for example, Leia could fly, but yet Rey and Ren can't fly. They can't use the Force, even though it's obvious that they are stronger than Leia with the Force. Nice little surprise is that you actually find out that this is another repair that JJ did, was that everyone was complaining in the last movie. All of a sudden, Leia had Force powers, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's like, "What the heck? How could she all of a sudden have Force powers?" But in this movie,
the training.
They showed her and Luke training.
Yeah, which I thought
was pretty cool.
And then they took Leia, the two masked people training against each other.
Yeah.
Then it was revealed one was Luke.
Yeah.
And it was this younger Luke. It looked like Luke Skywalker. But they then took it off and showed Leia.
Yeah.
CG, I thought there was a little suspect. Yeah.
Because I thought Luke, I was like, oh, wow, they did a really good job of that.
They should get the mask on Leia.
Leia.
Put the mask back down.
Yeah. But I thought that was actually really good because another a gripe that a lot of us had was all of a sudden Leia had Force powers, but we all didn't know where they came from. But this movie answers that question.
Yeah. I thought maybe I was missing something before with her powers. Like there's probably some Star Wars fandom out there that people know about, but I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
There was a really funny thing that we whispered to each other in the movie about.
Yeah.
And can I chat to you now about it? Did this actually happen that Rey gave Luke's lightsaber?
Yeah.
Can you explain it? Can you explain it better? You know what I'm trying to say?
Okay, so you're saying, are you talking about when they're fighting?
She said I'm not worthy of having this lightsaber. Yeah. So what happened?
Yeah. So what happens is that we see Rey training, and she's not sort of mastering the Force like she'd want to, and she feels as though she's letting everybody down, and so she basically gives Luke's lightsaber back to Leia and says, "I'm not worthy of this. You need to take it away." And you're like, okay, this sounds pretty good because maybe at the end of the movie we're going to see Luke's lightsaber go to Rey, and we're like, oh, there's going to be a really epic moment. But then within like 10 minutes she has to take off, and then Leia's like, here, take the lightsaber, and she just takes it, and it's like, oh, okay.
It's just like, it's really weird because maybe it's poor editing or what happened there, but you don't really do that in movies. Just shorter
it was just
gap between the two things.
Yeah, but look, once again, just a little there's a little something I guess we would only look at.
That's the other thing we talked about too, is that we think in the movie that Chewbacca's been killed in an explosion. And then the next scene they reveal that he's alive still.
Yeah.
Where traditionally in movies you might want to keep that a little bit secret a bit longer.
Yeah, it was very but like, see, I thought they should have kept him dead.
I wouldn't have minded it.
Yeah. Like, okay, like in terms of trying to kill off the past.
Yeah.
Right. I thought that was all right. So that's actually maybe good that they did that. Made us think, oh yeah, he's dead, and all of a sudden he is alive, and it's like, oh, he is alive. But you're right. It could have been better, like, if they had left that, strung us along a little bit more.
Yeah. His death should have been more heroic, though. Maybe.
Yeah.
He's a warrior.
Because it did seem quite fast. I was like, oh, that's it. Like, and we actually chuckled about it because it came at the part which I thought was pretty cool, where both that ship's taken off, and then Rey all of a sudden uses the Force to pull the ship back, and it's like, oh crap, like it's just really awesome, seeing that.
Yeah, that made me think of another thing I thought of was Finn. It's pretty useless in the movie. What's he doing there most of the time? He was there during the battle between the two people using the Force. Do something. Throw a rock at Kylo Ren or something. Distract him. And then he did it again on the ship when they're on the lightsaber.
No, he did
distracting her of anything.
He yelled her name out. Okay, that's what he did. No, like, see, okay, we need to get to this because Finn is a useless character because there's no use for him. And the bit that we're talking about, so they go on this island, this planet, They need to get something from somewhere. You know where the story's going. Anyway, so the thing is that Ray goes out there, and Finn feels as though for some reason he has to go out there too. He's got to like go over all these waters and just to get there. And in my mind at that point, I'm thinking, what? He doesn't have to go. Like, why does he have to go? Anyway, so she goes there. Pretty cool thing happened. She sees like a Palpatine version of herself, you can say. You would have seen it in the trailer, this version of Rey with a dual lightsaber type thing, right? Sort of like Darth Maul style. Anyway, so this is pretty good, Then Kylo Ren's there. They have this fight. And then you actually forget that Finn went out there to where they are. Yeah. And then all of a sudden he's there and it's like, what? And then they're fighting. And then, as you were saying, all he's doing is he's just running and calling out her name, Rey!
Yeah,
Rey!
That's it. And normally it leads to either Finn rescuing Rey in a movie, which didn't happen.
Yeah.
Or Finn then getting in trouble. It's like, what's this goofball doing? And her having to rescue him. But neither of those things happen.
Nothing.
They just got separated. Yeah. And that's it. I feel like his character is often used to be our point of view, our eyes. So we're him and we're trying to keep track, and it's, I don't know, I feel like he might be that kind of character.
Yeah. I think
he's as useful as the audience watching the movie.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think the second movie sort of exposed him as being pointless. And I don't think, with all the good things that this movie did to repair what happened in the second movie, I don't think they did a good enough job with giving Finn an actual purpose other than feeling the Force or, and the thing is that it's not even answered, because there's a point in the movie where it looks as though they're about to die because they're in this quicksand stuff. And he's like, I've got something to tell you, Rey. And then she's like, what? And then doesn't say it. No. And then they're alive after this point. And they go, what were you going to say? And then he's like, no, I can't tell you now. I'll tell you later. But he never ends up telling her.
Maybe it's that Kylo Ren likes you.
Yeah. Probably.
Yeah. I don't know.
But yeah,
talking about not minding, we talked about earlier not minding Chewbacca dying. I was accepting Rey dying at the end. I thought she died.
Yeah, I did too.
And I didn't kind of like him bringing back, because we already had that with her killing Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I know he's not going to die now, and she brought him back. Yeah. But then we did it again with her dying and him bringing her back, and I don't know. You do that a bit too often, it gets a bit boring.
Yeah.
She looked dead. Man, like the makeup and the look of her.
Yeah, it was really like that's what the acting on this one was like. Probably some of the best acting you've seen in a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
Hold on, what were you saying? Because I actually had a thought. Anyway,
there was that equally cute, funny, interesting character that was working on C-3PO's brain.
Okay, that's what I was going to say too. I was actually happy with C-3PO basically being done after they extracted the plans on how to get to that.
What do you mean done? Like they didn't use him in the movie as much after that?
No, because the procedure that he got, it was like, if this doesn't, it'll be a memory wipe, right? Talking about.
But that was another lame thing that they revealed, that R2-D2 has a backup of his memory before they wiped it. Like you can leave that as a little bit more of a mystery that, like, reveal later when you think it's gone. Yeah,
it was just and that's just another little thing.
But that's all that Star Wars fans like to hear about and talk about.
We love little things.
If you hear another podcast, that would have been just like a 2-hour podcast about C-3PO's
The thing
memory.
is that Joe and I are Star Wars fans, but we're probably not to the level of it.
Well, we don't know a lot outside of the movies.
Yeah, outside, we don't know much of the lore with Star Wars.
And I also get very easily confused.
Yes.
Yeah, between characters.
As you've heard so far in this.
This is quite a good exercise. I've never done this before, talking about a movie after I've seen it.
Yeah.
I mean, we chat about the movie, but never actually really like recording it and really thinking about it.
But this is, I wanted to do it for this one because, both you and I love Star Wars. And I think it's just
for the views as well. But you think Star Wars? Well, it's
exactly.
Get the views.
Yeah, but is there anything else spoilery that was quite good? Oh, one thing that didn't make sense was seeing Han Solo.
Not needed, yeah. Not needed.
Especially because Han was never someone who believed in the Force. Like,
No.
he was...
Well, he did become, even after the first movie. But yeah, no, because he came back, but not as ghost form, but actually solid.
Yeah, as a
so
solid
was he actually
form.
there, or was that just Kylo talking to himself?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about him.
I was a bit like, I didn't know.
But yeah, maybe bringing one of them back, but not bringing back him, bringing back Luke.
Yeah.
People are going to love, what people will love is when, and I like the scene, it was pretty epic, but when Rey destroyed Palpatine at the end, there's a lot of people saying, because Palpatine was pushing, hey, I got all the Sith background in me.
Yeah.
I represented all of them, and then all of a sudden she was representing all the Jedi.
Oh, you know what?
And there was a montage of all the voices, which
yeah.
we should look up soon and see who was talking. But
I would have,
Yoda, Obi-Wan, I think. Anakin.
There was a few there. I would have loved to have seen maybe Force ghost versions of them.
That same here, and that's what maybe instead of having Han Solo, Ghost, and Luke, which we've seen recently in last movie, maybe having Obi-Wan, having Yoda, having Anakin,
having
Ghost
Mace
versions.
Windu.
No, maybe not. No, I never liked him much.
Still old.
I say this as joking, but like you could have Jar Jar in an awesome role coming back or cameo and stuff like this.
No, you cannot.
You could.
No, but so Han Solo was in it. Was a bit okay. He's there, I guess. Fan service. No, but apart from that, it was oh
my god, the worst thing ever.
What's that?
The last line of the movie.
What was Okay, so what happens is in a very nice sort of moment, you have Rey goes back to where Luke grew up, and she's looking at his old place, and it feels really good. Okay, because she's gonna get settled here.
Which I don't know why she buried Leia's lightsaber there. Leia had her own story, her own family and place she grew up.
But that was basically burying the past.
Yeah.
And so what happens is that she's looking around, and this lady's like, oh, who are you? And she's like, oh, I'm Rey. She's like, oh, Rey, what's your last name? Or something along those lines. And then, so she's Rey Palpatine.
She's already been asked that once in the movie too, previously. Do you remember someone said, oh, can I have the honor of knowing your last name?
Yeah.
And
then, she just looks over to the side and she sees Force Ghost versions of Luke and Leia. And then she looks at the lady and she's like, I'm Rey Skywalker.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God.
No.
Why,
right?
Yeah.
Like, what about her own parents? Like, I know she wanted to maybe disown her grandparents, but what about the honor of her own parents?
You know what?
who were not bad people.
I actually thought, because at first you can see ghosts, right? And I was like, oh, maybe that's like her parents. Her biological parents, like ones that actually loved her.
Cool. They're not heroes like
and
Skywalkers.
It was a Skywalker. So, but that was a bit like, oh. So, so that's basically how the movie ended.
Yeah.
It was good to see Palpatine back too. Like first he was this.
His face in that was cool. Like,
how
they did that.
I like it how he was quite clearly like a zombie. His body was a zombie controlled by dark parts of the Force, obviously,
and robotics as well.
Robotics. But then all of a sudden he takes some of the Force power out of Kylo Ren and Rey.
I didn't like that. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he starts sort of being he starts regenerating, and he's basically reanimated to the Palpatine that you sort of remember from Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of that scene. All of a sudden, just sucking the energy out of nowhere.
But he's like, that just shows how powerful he is.
But why wasn't he sucking the energy of maybe just one of them? Like all of a sudden, it felt like Voldemort.
Yeah. Okay. This is where we just get into the territory of asking questions, like trying to question.
Oh, the bond between you two. I'm using all the juice from the bond between you two. So powerful. Or give me more of that.
I thought actually another thing was a bit eye-rolly was all of a sudden all these ships coming out of nowhere, like all of a sudden everyone in the galaxy wants to help out.
That's one of the Star Wars Lord of the Rings references are thinking, like Gondor.
All of a sudden, yeah.
And then it was very much like a scene. I know you don't know Guardians of the Galaxy very well, but there was a scene. What was it when all the pirates or whatever they call themselves came together? All of a sudden, all these mass amount of ships to help save the day.
Oh yes, that was in the second. The second one.
I think it's the second one.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's been done before too. It's a little bit like a Dunkirk type thing where they weren't part of a navy, which apparently navies in Star Wars.
The thing is that, like, I can eye roll it, but you sort of know it's going to come anyway. Like, I knew it was coming. That was the thing. I knew, like, because they had the odds stacked against them so much, and of course, people were going to come because they kept saying, "People will come, people will come, people will come," and you knew, okay, people were going to come. Yeah. So,
I think Palpatine made a mistake. Why would they destroy one planet and show their hand?
Yeah.
To send out all the ships at once, because then,
that is just, this is just nitpicky. But you're right. Like, what happens is that in the beginning, all of a sudden, these ships just come out of the ground. Yeah. And it's like, oh, okay, we've been hiding those. And then it's like, oh, wow, these ships can actually destroy the whole. Like, the thing is that he doesn't actually need Kylo Ren or Rey. Like, he can just send these ships out, and just basically destroy every planet in the world. Yeah, and there you go.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe just age does catch up. With
everyone, maybe
so having a younger generation come is what's still needed.
I don't know, but because the thing is that he already had the other general who was loyal to him. And one thing I thought was quite odd was that this general's like, oh, I served you in the old battles, right? Yeah. And I was thinking to myself, bro, I don't even know who you are.
No, I need a Star Wars fan to explain that to us, because I think, is he one from an older movie and they've computer generated his face somehow or something? Maybe, I got lost with that. I think there's something there. The other general who was the spy,
General Hux.
That was lame when he his line when he said, oh, I don't care if you win, I just need him to lose. That's not worth risking your life about everything. It wasn't noble or wasn't.
But that's another thing where it's like, Kylo Ren would have known. You know what I mean? Like, he already, when he redid his mask, his helmet, and he's at the table. Yeah. And he's like, oh, is that some kind of, he says something to General Hux, some doubt or something about my mask.
But also, what big whoop, what did the spy reveal? That Palpatine was alive? Well, he's going to reveal that eventually anyway. Yeah. It's no big secret.
I know. Look, seriously, if anyone's listening to the spoilery version, they would have heard the non-spoilery version of us. We love the movie. Yeah. You're probably going to listen to this version and be like, holy heck, these guys actually are tearing this movie to bits.
Yeah. Well, you're hopeful that someone keeps listening after the first half. Yeah.
I'm just hopeful for one person to at least listen. Let alone many, but
you're right. Well, because we're nitpicking all the lame bits in it.
But I mean, look,
they do add up a little.
Star Wars is full of every movie, even the original trilogy has lame bits where you roll your eyes and say, why didn't they do this, or why didn't they do that? Yeah. But look, seriously, overall, really good movie. They did a fantastic job of righting the wrongs from the previous movie. And I think it was just, I thought they did a really good job. Well done to J.J. Abrams, I believe.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for having me on.
No worries. Thank you, Joe. Hope you enjoyed that episode. If you did, please share, leave a comment, hit the subscribe button. I've got a whole heap of videos on the channel where I've chatted to a lot of great people. If you could, that'll be great. And so I hope to catch you on the next episode.